Alright guys, understanding the difference between clay and glaze. I've laid out from our glaze lab over in the classroom, I've laid out the different materials that are in essentially both clay and glaze here to talk about that. So on the left we have kaolin, okay, and kaolin is also called china clay. It's soft white clay that is an essential ingredient in the manufacture of china and porcelain, and is widely used in making of paper, rubber, paint, and many other products. Kaolin is named after the hill in China called Kaoling, from which it was mined for centuries. Alright, so when we think about clay, kaolin, okay, and we're just adding some other materials to this to make it more workable, because when we mix up clay, we're not just digging that clay straight out of the ground. We actually get these different minerals that are mined from around the world, and then we're mixing them together to get a very consistent product. Okay, so it is possible to dig clay straight out of the ground, but that's not necessarily how it's done anymore. So kaolin is what we mean by clay. Moving on to silica, and silica is a glass former. Silica is main material in glaze that creates the glass, right? We add it to clay to give it some body to it, right? It's what's called a filler in clay. These are the main ingredients in clay and glaze. Feldspar is naturally occurring rock that is made up of silica and kaolin, and it also has a little bit of flux in it, right? And these here, this is clay, all right? Silica, feldspar, and kaolin. Those make up clay. Here we have flux, and this flux in this bin here is actually calcium carbonate. And what the flux does when it's added to the clay is it actually melts the clay. Okay? So flux's main job is to melt silica. Okay? So without the flux, it's clay, and with the flux, it's glaze. Alright, so when we think about glaze, we're taking clay and adding flux. One cool thing about flux in glaze is that these could be many different materials. Alright, it could be calcium, it can be potassium, it can be sodium, it can be barium. There are many different fluxes that we can use, and that determines much about the glaze. Okay, one of the cool things about Shino glaze is that it uses soda ash. Alright, soda ash is a sodium-based flux, and soda ash is actually water soluble, right? Which means it dissolves in water. We're going to learn a little bit more about that coming up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you that we can make clay out of this just by adding water. Go. I'm out of breath. But as you can see, this would need to be worked with a little bit more before it was really nice workable clay. It's a little bit wet, it needs to sit out for a little while, but bam, we have clay. Consists of mainly kaolin with 25% silica and some feldspar, and feldspar is really a natural recurring rock that is made up of silica and kaolin. Alright? And then glaze, if we added flux to this, it would melt and become glaze.